is back into it in Chester. Here's El Senior. Yes! Yes! The center back, Jacob Glesnes, is going for it. Oh my God! What a goal! And that will do it! One of the best comebacks in recent years. 3 unanswered by the Union. And they go into the Gold Cup break, winning it 3-2.
Hello, welcome to the Free Kick Podcast. My name is Todd. And yeah, it's been over a week now since you guys have had an episode. You know, you guys are probably thinking, wow, like as soon as you got back from vacation, Todd, you were on a roll, and now one episode a week. What's going on? No. We still have guests, but maybe not as frequently as I was scheduling. And I was joking with this guy before we hopped on and started to record that I think he's the only guest that I've had on the podcast that's a Philadelphia Union fan, I should say, that I have not met in person. He's been on the show multiple times, whether that's appearing on our trivia contest. I believe he was there for 2 seasons. We may have talked about a game or two. I'm not sure. Maybe he only came on the trivia show, but I swear I've had him on to talk just about a Philadelphia Union game. But if I haven't, I'll be sure to get him on the pass. But we're here to talk about the upcoming seasons, the latest off-season topics, and joining me today is Mr. Pat Andrews. Pat, thanks for joining me again.
Hey, thanks for having me. Yeah, I was on one of your episodes. When I went to one of the away game in DC. That was my first time on your show.
Oh, there we go. And so I had you on the show first, and then afterward, that's crazy. I thought I had you on the trivia show first, and you were like, "Yeah, let me come on a podcast." That is crazy.
I think it was that. Then I did the trivia show a few times. The trivia is a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you've went far before, and I should have done it this year, right, Pat, to let you redeem yourself to go all the way. But
next one, I'll get it.
Yeah, I have faith in you, Pat. So if you guys have no idea what Pat and I are talking about, I've done a trivia show the last 2 years, not this year, because as we all know, the season started like earlier than it's ever started. And I just test Philadelphia Union fans, the knowledge on the Philadelphia Union and its topics from the whole history of the Philadelphia Union. A lot of fun hosting that, and just always impressed with the knowledge that each and every one of the guests have of the Philadelphia Union, because I always say if I was a contestant in that, I would never get out of the first round. So I'm always happy that I'm the host of it and not the contestant. And for Pat to come back multiple years, I applaud you for that, Pat. So thanks again.
If you want to compete, I'll do a round of hosting, and I'll ask the questions, and maybe we can get you to go up against like one of the other podcasters.
Ooh, that's an idea. That's an idea, right? Let you and the rest of Philadelphia Union Twitter come up with questions, and let all the Philadelphia Union podcasters go against each other and see who goes the farthest. That's a good idea. So we'll see. We'll see if the other ones are interested in that. That's I do like that idea. The first person to pitch that idea. So.
Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun.
It would be. I'm just saying right now, if it's not 2019, 2020, 2021, I stand no shot. Maybe 2018. Anything earlier than that, I'm out. So you got to give me some easy questions, Pat. But let's go ahead and talk about the Philadelphia Union's game against FC Cincinnati. So I wasn't able to watch it. I think I saw you on Twitter said you couldn't watch it either. So before we even talk about what Jim Curtin had to say about the game, about who scored the goal and everything, the streaming issues. It is insane. And this has nothing to do with the Philadelphia Union. I just want to get that out of the way.
It's like a league thing, right?
It is. It is a league thing. And I get it because when MLS signed the contract, I think like 8-9 years ago, they geo-blocked everything. And so you had to be in a certain radius of the stadium. So Subaru Park, you had to be 75 miles. Yeah, 75 miles from Subaru Park. And if you're not, then you can't watch it. And the crazy thing that happened today is Pat lives a lot closer than me.
I'm at work. I was at work trying to watch it, and I'm, according to the GPS, I'm 20 miles from the stadium. So I thought I was comfortable in that, but apparently New Jersey doesn't count. I don't know what, but there's like people in Philly. They're like, I'm in Center City, and they're like, you can't watch.
Absolutely. I kid you not, I saw people, maybe you saw them too on Twitter, say that last year or years prior, they've been literally at Subaru Park trying to watch games, and they wouldn't let them watch games. Like, it makes no sense to me. But then you have some people, like you said, in Philadelphia that could watch the games. You had some people within the radius that were able to watch the games. But then you have
It's so
people
confusing.
that are in Philadelphia proper, people literally at the stadium, people are in New Jersey like yourself, can't watch the games. It makes no sense to me. And I guess the good news is this is the last year of the current TV rights and streaming rights that MLS has with ESPN, with Fox. And so whoever gets the rights, MLS said that they're selling the league package as a whole. And so, like, I know Bailey Sports is out in the Midwest. They show a lot of the Midwest teams' games and everything. So all the local market deals are out for every single team. So MLS is selling the team deal, like the MLS right deals as a whole. And MLS is trying to get $300 million a season for the MLS deal. But the number one thing that MLS is asking for is they said there's going to be no more blackouts. There's going to be no more geo blocks. So, yeah, exactly. And the thing that doesn't make sense to me is it's preseason. Like, you're
Yeah.
not showing
Who
the games on
cares?
TV. You're literally just streaming it. Like, how's that help you grow the game? It doesn't.
It's not even on ESPN Plus. Like I pay for ESPN Plus to watch this league, and like the preseason games aren't even on. It's kind of ridiculous. I'm really hoping that ESPN picks up for the full, and then also I still hope like somehow like my PHL 17 still holds the local rights, because I mean they at least handle streaming well. Like it's free on the website, and I like that. As opposed to, I think it was a few years ago, Cincinnati, they had like no one could watch their games the first season. It was, I have to do some research on it, but I think it was like no one could watch their games. It was like through like you had to pay. So the whole thing is a mess.
Yeah, I think DC United had something like that
Yeah,
too.
DC too. Yeah.
Yeah, I forget. Oh man, I forget the company it was. Like I think it lasted for like one season. They're like never again, and then they sold the rights to NBC Washington. But yeah, it's a joke. I mean, I guess, like during the season watching league games, why they had a geo block. But geo block, in my opinion, is stupid regardless. But preseason, like, what good does that do you? Like, you have fans that are excited for the season to start up. They just want to watch some new players. They want to watch academy kids play and everything, so they can get a better understanding of some of the new players, some of the academy players coming through the system. But you limit, makes no sense. But us complaining about it's not going to change it, unfortunately, and we just got to deal with it for the rest of the season, and then hopefully next season we won't be complaining about this again. But yeah, so like we said, Pat and I weren't able to watch the game, but thank goodness the Philadelphia Union posted some goal highlights or some big play moments on social media. We saw Kai Wagner play an outstanding ball to Sergio Santos, who then crosses the ball to Julian Carranza, who gets his first goal of the campaign. Not his first official goal, because obviously it's preseason. But you'd love to see it, though. A brand new signing couldn't have started any better, and they score within the second minute of the game. I mean, the Philadelphia Union couldn't have asked for a better start.
Nothing builds confidence like seeing the ball go in the back of the net. And like there's like a lot of internal pressure on this kid, Carranza, because it was a tough problem in Miami. Like they spent a lot of money on him. It didn't work out. I think that he's going to thrive here. And I've been saying that since we signed him. He's too talented. He went into Miami when they had like all this turnover and turmoil, and the team is like terribly constructed, and he had to deal with like Higuain and all this other drama and a pandemic and then the season stopping. So I think like normalcy, consistency, and he's a young kid. He's gonna be developed fine.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, you pay $6 million for a young kid out of Argentina. Obviously, there's some talent there. And like you said, just the ever-changing parts in Miami, it didn't work out in Miami. And I mean, you got a young kid leaving Argentina for the first time. You pay big money for him and you're expecting big things. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of pressure on you. But then you add all the other issues that Miami created. I mean, how do players thrive in that? And you saw Lewis Morgan leave this winter from Inter Miami to New York Red Bulls, and I thought last season Lewis Morgan was probably the best player for Inter Miami, one of the only bright spots on the team, and they get rid of him. And it makes sense, right? You know, you get a new GM, you have a new coach and everything. I know they both came in last season, but most of these players on the team were under the old regime. And so they're going to go ahead and get rid of all these players, bring in their guys and everything. And it'll be interesting to see how Inter Miami plays this season. But yeah, I'm with you. I think Julian Carranza is going to have a huge season for the Philadelphia Union. And it is interesting to hear. I mentioned it last episode, or actually, no, I didn't mention it last episode. I mentioned it when I was on the Stateside Soccer podcast. When was that? On Wednesday? I think that's when they released the episode. And yeah, they asked my thoughts on Julian Carranza. And I said, yeah, I mean, Tom Burgert said this guy loves the press. And that's exactly what the Philadelphia Union do. They press. And so to have a striker that's willing to come back, help on defense, I'm all for it. Because we know there's some strikers on the roster that will not come back on defense. So to see Julian Carranza is one of those guys. Mikael Uhre is another one of those guys. I mean, that's only going to help the Philadelphia Union as a whole, in my opinion. But during this game, too, we saw Sergio Santos, just like his whole time here with the Philadelphia Union, he gets subbed off because of an injury issue. Jim Curtin says after the game that it was just because of cramps, that it was like 80 degrees. The players weren't used to playing in this hot of temperature yet, and he said that Sergio Santos will be fine. Jack Elliott missed this game because he's dealing with a groin injury. Jim Curtin said he'll also be fine. It was more so a precautionary measure and didn't want to get him hurt anymore. What were you going to say, Pat?
It's preseason, so I'm not too worried about it. But Santos is like the injury magnet. I think he would have been our best striker of all time if he was never injured. Like, he's got physicality, he's got speed, he's got pace, he's a decent strike. He just gets hurt every like 3 games. You can't play him consecutive games. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's terrible. And like, I think Sergio Santos, everybody's like, oh, who's going to be the El Senior this season since there is no El Senior? I think it's going to be Sergio Santos. I mean, maybe every now and then he'll start a game, but I think he's perfect coming off the bench, giving you 30 minutes to go out tired legs. And I know Sergio Santos is going to want to start. And like I said, I'm sure he will start some games, but how can he rely on a guy who's getting hurt, like you said, every third game?
30 minutes off the bench, like if you could limit that his injury like risk, I think you'll see big impact. Yeah, like he'll run at defenders. They'll be tired. Maybe he'll create. He presses well too, especially and like he gets like physical and chippy with defenders. So like I could see like him and Carranza like working well together, especially as like we acclimate Uhre. I can't pronounce it.
Yeah, me either. I'm probably saying it wrong too, so it's okay.
Yeah. I think it's Uhre something. As we acclimate him, like this is going to be tough. I'm lucky we have Jim.
Yeah, I know, right? Well, I said too, like I've been saying to fans, I'm happy I'm not Jim Curtin because this is the most talent, in my opinion, the Philadelphia Union have ever had. And what have we been calling for the last couple seasons? We've won at a bench, and now Jim Curtin finally has a very, very, very capable starting 11 that can win MLS, and he has a bench options now where if they're down a goal, they can bring off a player like Julian Carranza for Sergio Santos. They can put on Corey Burke. The young kids, we saw what they can do last season. They can change a game on their own. And you add a full season under their belt, they're going to be better than they were last season.
Exactly.
So I'm so excited.
Where does Burke even fit in this? Because in my opinion right now, Santos is coming in off the bench. You're probably going to have one of the 2 strikers finish a game. But also Curtin's not afraid to go 3 up top if we're down. So, like, we could have 3 up top, and if we're up, he sometimes takes 1 off, and then there's a lot of young midfielders that are fighting for opportunities, and, we have a stacked midfield.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much flexibility you can do, and then on top of that, too, like, what kind of formation do you throw out there? I know today they threw out the diamond, but we saw last season the 4-3-2-1. We've seen at times 4-2-3-1 we've switched to during the games. We saw 3 in the back last season. I know Jim Curtin on Kevin Kincaid's podcast talked about going 3 in the back. There's so much you can do with this team, with this players you have. And like I said, I'm just happy I'm not Jim Curtin. It's like, how do you pick your best 11 when you have so many guys that are capable of starting a match for you? But, that's for Jim Curtin to figure out and for us to appreciate and then complain about his decisions, right?
Yeah, I mean, if we don't win, we can get to complain. And I mean, like, it's the easiest part of being a fan is like, you should have done this. We can talk about that after the game. But, he's got a lot of, this is going to be a tough season for him, in a good way, because he's asked for this since he's been here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's part of the reason I feel like he said the Philadelphia Union didn't allow him to speak to Cincinnati, and that's as far as I went, to Cincinnati approaching the Philadelphia Union, and they denied Jim Curtin the opportunity to speak to Cincinnati. But, I feel like Cincinnati's a team where they have owners that aren't afraid to spend the money, and Jim Curtin hasn't had that in the Philadelphia Union. So, I think he would have considered going to Cincinnati, as much as Philadelphia Union fans don't want to admit that. But, you see the Philadelphia Union come out and spend some money this season. And like we were just talking about, this is on paper, the strongest team the Philadelphia Union have ever had.
And like everyone kept saying that Cincinnati is like a lateral move or a step down. And like, in theory, yes, but nothing's going to hurt his stock really. He would get a big pay boost, and he would have owners that would listen to him and spend money, and he could leave in a year or two and go to Europe. He doesn't have obligations. I think he loves Philadelphia. He obviously loves Philadelphia. He's a Philadelphian, but he's been here a while. And I think that if they didn't say we're going to drop some money on a striker, he would have made it more clear that he wanted to leave, or he would have left overseas, because he could do, like, that would be harder to stop. If an MLS team comes knocking, they could shut that down. That's fine. He's under contract. He has to respect that.
Yeah, exactly. And that's basically what he said. He had a contract with the Philadelphia Union. There's nothing you can do about it. It's the contract he signed. But look, I've always said all along, what did he do with the Philadelphia Union? He helped rebuild the franchise, won them their first ever title. What does Cincinnati need help with? They need help rebuilding that franchise. They've been a mess ever since they came into MLS. So let's say he would have went to Cincinnati and then he helped them get a playoff win. That's going to make his stock even higher for teams in Europe to say, wow, he's rebuilt two teams in MLS, one with a team that doesn't spend money and one with a team that does spend money. So then owners in Europe can say, okay, well, if we give him money or not, we can trust him with it. Or
exactly,
he can do a job without money. So it's like, I didn't agree with that, with the fans saying, oh, this is a terrible move for Jim Curtin, because I think that would have helped his stock even more. But yeah, I'm happy he's here with the Philadelphia Union, and I think, the Philadelphia Union have unfinished business. But before we play the first clip I want to play, other talking points that Jim Curtin mentioned today in his press conference. One, Jamiro Monteiro, the reason he wasn't with the team, the reason he isn't with the team is because he is dealing with visa issues with his family. Jim Curtin said he's hopeful that gets resolved soon. But if we remember, it's the same issue that happened last year. And
oh, man.
I don't know. Are you guys ready for visa issues with Jamiro Monteiro 2.0? I mean,
it blew over. There was like confrontation in the locker room allegedly, and arguments and
between Kai and Jamiro.
Yeah, apparently it was. I've heard Kai and Jamiro. I heard it was Kacper and Jamiro didn't like each other at all. I heard a lot about that. So, and then I heard it Curtin too. Like there was a little like friction, but Curtin worked it out with him. But if this visa issue, man, we gotta fix that before.
Yeah, and so the last two talking points I want to talk about. I mean, I'll save my Jamiro Monteiro thoughts for a later podcast. But speaking of visa issues, Mikael Uhre, that's what I'm going to go with for the time being. He is dealing with visa issues, trying to get clearance and everything. Yeah, he signed with the team and everything, and I'll get your thoughts on that signing here in a little bit. But it's like, what is up with this team and visa issues? Corey Burke, we've seen him have visa issues. Sergio Santos had visa issues at the beginning of this season trying to get back into the country. Jamiro Monteiro's wife has visa issues, which I guess isn't really in the team's control. Jacob Glesnes had visa issues, but then we found out today that now he has his green card, which is great. So now we have an open international roster spot, and we'll see what the Philadelphia Union do with that. But, man, this team and visa issues, like, they got to fire whoever works on the visas.
Yeah,
they're
like
terrible.
They've lost. They should lose their job. Like, what is going on here? It's laughable at this point. Monteiro is going to be frustrated about this. and then he'll come in and he'll have like one or two, a little period, and then he'll be great.
Like we talked about, Julian Carranza gets the first goal in the preseason for the Philadelphia Union, the only goal of the game against Cincinnati for the Philadelphia Union. The game ended 1-1. And the first clip I want to play is Jim Curtin's thoughts on Julian Carranza.
Yeah, it's great. Look, Julian's movement, he gives us, again, we're guilty as coaches, we're guilty as, I'm sure, press and media of comparing players to other players. And what I see, and it's a high bar. Again, I'm going to compare him to last year's Golden Boot winner. The way he moves on the ball, the way he can accelerate and create space. It reminds you of Castellanos. I see that. I see that ability in him. And again, we're still working on him with our principals. His work rate has been excellent. His speed to get in behind is very good, but also to have soft feet to get out of a tight space. And then maybe the cleverness on the play where he maybe draws a PK, but the ref actually does a good job of signaling him for the first foul. He has a way and a savviness in the box that he pops up in the right spots. And defenders, I'll just say defenders feel him, much like Castellanos. So again, that's a high bar, but I see a player with a great deal of talent, and we want to get him in this style of play, goals like today, where it's not that he has to dribble through 3 or 4 guys. It's that his movement in the box is very good, and Sergio gives him a great cross, and he gets a tap in. So happy with him to get his first goal for us. I hope it's the first of many, but he continues to work hard, a very good young player. And again, I think he'll only grow and get better and better each and every day. But he's been a pleasure to work with so far.
All right, so hearing that, Pat, I think we should just go ahead and trigger our buy option.
My prediction for the year, 9 goals. I feel like it's high, but I feel like that's where he's going to land.
I will be here for that. And if he scores that many goals for the Philadelphia Union this season, I really, really hope the Philadelphia Union don't have a buy option to buy. Because if they do,
I think that, I trust Ernst and like our brain trust. And I think that they're going to, I wouldn't be surprised if midway through the season we get him before like it gets too crazy, or like I think like they'll have like advanced talks. I wouldn't be surprised if he starts off pretty high and then we have him locked up, and then it becomes official at the end of the year.
Yeah, that would be awesome. But to hear Jim Curtin compare this guy to Tati Castellanos, who scored 19 goals last season, like Jim said, won the Golden Boot, that's such high praise. And yeah, they're both from Argentina. And I don't think Jim's comparing them just because they're both from Argentina. I think he has a point, because the way that he scored the goal, he came into the box late and got behind the defender. And how does Tati Castellanos score all of his goals? He's inside the box. He doesn't shoot from outside the box. Where Tati's most effective is when he's inside the 18-yard box. And that's what we saw today with Julian Carranza. And if the Philadelphia Union can take advantage of that, oh man, like we've been asking for a striker to be dominant, and you go out and sign Mikael Uhre for $2.8 million. You have Julian, who, if he plays as well as he did today, like there's a chance we have 2 strikers that have double digits in goals for us this season, which I thought I would never see the day.
I never thought that would be remotely possible, especially from ending the way last season ended, where it felt like at times, like, man, I really hope that like Bedoya gets on the end. Like, I'm internally relying on midfielders and defenders, and not our goal scorers, because I just didn't trust them.
Yeah, me either. I think we didn't struggle last year. I think offensively we struggled because our midfielders weren't as dominant as they were in 2020. We got a lot of goals from the midfield in 2020 and 2021. I think Daniel Gazdag, I'm not looking at it right now, I think he was our leading goal scorer from all midfielders. And Daniel Gazdag didn't even play a whole season for the Philadelphia Union.
Came halfway through.
So what's that tell you about our midfielders? It doesn't tell you a lot. But before I get your thoughts on Philadelphia Union's offseason moves and everything, have you been paying attention at all to this guy on Twitter named Tumar Palmer talking about a young Ghanaian player?
Yeah, I've been trolling him. Yeah, no, I copied and pasted his exact tweet, and then I've replaced Philadelphia Union with a team from Australia, and a bunch of people have been messaging me asking if they're signing Asamoah Gyan.
No way. Oh, that's great. That's
Because
great.
as soon as I saw that, I didn't believe that. Nothing about that made sense. And I think that's one of he is great. Like this guy, we need to collectively fly him out to a Union game because it was that was one of the funniest tweets I've seen because it was unbelievable. It's like, oh yeah, my boy is locking up a contract and it looks good. Like we're not spending money. we spent too much money already. We're not a rich team. What is this guy talking about?
No, so if you guys aren't aware of what Pat and I are talking about, I think I've talked about this in episodes prior. So basically, I said Benjamin Tita was the player that Timari was talking about, and that obviously wasn't the player because Timari said, nope, that's wrong. But I will give you guys an exact timeline. I will tell you guys what Timari and I were saying in our DMs and everything, and you guys can tell us if you think he's the ultimate troll or if you think there's something to this, because honestly, I think this guy's the biggest troll on social media, and if we do sign a player from Ghana, then props to him. But the way that he's went about everything, it like Pat said, it doesn't make sense. So January 14th, he comes out and he says, shout out to my guy Daniel. Got his first client signed to the Philadelphia Union, straight from the streets of Ghana. Few bits of paperwork to complete, so I'll keep the name quiet. Wage structure looks healthy, I can't lie. The deal was done in early December to go through January 23rd. It is a young player. So after that tweet, that's when I found the player Benjamin Tita, and Timari let this tweet go for like 6-8 hours, didn't say anything, and Union Twitter's like finding all these highlight videos and everything, and people are like, oh man, I can't wait for the Philadelphia Union to sign this guy. And then like 6 to 8 hours later, Timari's like, this is 100% false, this isn't the player. So I DM him. And this is his response to me. He said, yes, the player is currently in Ghana. The deal was done early December. International clearance was granted in December. Deal will go through late January. He is a young player, and the wages show he'll maybe be in the first team, but I don't know. It's a lot of money and wages to commit to a player going to Union 2. It is a free transfer, 6-figure annual wage. The agent in particular wants to see how the player progresses in MLS, then after a few years, try and move to Europe. So then on January 24th, good.
That's every player.
Yeah, right. Of course. Yeah. Like nobody wants to stay in
That's
MLS. Yeah, it is. Exactly. It's Kacper Przybylko, it's Jamiro Montero, it's Daniel Gazdag. Like these guys leave Europe to come to MLS to fix their careers, whatever, and then they get a shot back in Europe. So then on January 24th, Timari says on Twitter, arranging travel to the US in the next 4 weeks. Hopefully COVID doesn't ruin anything, but he's ready to sign. Just got to fly in. So how does he say he's ready to fly in and sign a contract? But on January 14th, he said that his client, his friend Daniel, got his first client to sign for the Philadelphia Union, and he said the deal was done in early December. So now, 10 days later, you say January 24th, and you say he's ready to sign. You say the deal's done, and now January 24th, 10 days later, you say he's ready to sign. So then on February 1st, and like Union Twitter started talking about this again and everything, I thought they forgot about the situation. Timari comes out and says, Philadelphia Union fans, ... He's not going to Union 2. He'll be in the first team. Was supposed to be done late January, but they're trying to get the player a green card. He could potentially arrive in the U.S. on Saturday. Not to be announced, but for meetings. He's expected to be the third highest paid player on the roster, 5-figure a week salary, expected to earn a nearly 7 annual fee. All right, so he sends me a private message, says, yeah, it's going to be 6 figures. And then he goes out here February 1st and says 7 figures. I have a lot of questions. Number one, why would the Philadelphia Union pay a player that has never left Ghana before 7 figures annually, the third highest earner at the club? 2, if he was the third highest earner at the club, that would make him a DP. Is that going to be another under 22 DP? Maybe.
It has to be, if it's real.
If it's real, exactly. Number 3, how can this guy get a green card before the likes of Sergio Santos, Corey Burke, players that have been on the Philadelphia Union for 4 or 5 years? And number 4, Why would he fly just to have meetings when he was saying from the beginning, his first tweet said everything was done back in December? What
They would have already met with
to,
the team.
Exactly. What do you need to agree upon if everything was done in December? None of this makes too much sense.
You're not meeting with the team, and you're going to do a Zoom meeting. And then if they already signed him, he would have flown in. If he's a trialist, he would be here for camp. If there's visa issues, he wouldn't be like, I don't know. The whole thing is sketchy, and we have an unhinged fan base. So I think it's hilarious. Like the reaction that people had.
The people were so excited. They're like, yes, we're spending money. We're finally spending money. And maybe this all winds up being true, but I think there's so much misinformation that's being thrown out here, especially what I read you guys exactly what was DM'd to me, and it doesn't align with what he was saying publicly. Now, maybe from what he said to me on January 14th to February 1st, maybe things changed. But I think this guy, honestly, honest to God, I think this guy just picked a random team, and he so happened to choose the Philadelphia Union. And so he started coming up with all this information, and he saw that us fans on Twitter started to run with this, started to search a player and everything. He's like, wow, I drew these guys in. And now he's giving little bits of information, and like people are still getting drawn in. And like this fan base
picked
sometimes.
The perfect team.
He did. He absolutely did.
Because like we all like people there's so many like grassroots effort supporter like podcasts and blogs, and all of them are running searches for the Philadelphia Union. So whenever it pops up, someone's picking it up, and like we run with things. Like every time we're linked to someone, we're all watching these stupid videos of like a goal scorer, like the Venezuelan player that we may or may not sign for $1 million that might come into U2 and eventually play for the Union. Like we overreact on everything. We run on things. I love this guy for doing because this is hilarious. The team I chose, I copied his tweet. I tweaked it. I put shout out to my guy Joshua. Got his first client signed to Perth Glory straight from the streets of Ghana. And then the rest was the same. And I've got 3 DMs from different Perth Glory fans with guesses. And then one guy just was like, is this Jan? And I was like, no, I'm sorry, guys. Like, I didn't mean to do this. But like, I think it was just that. I think he had like a really funny tweet and he's just like bored. And because isn't his photo of him in England? Like this guy might be in the UK talking about a friend and a client in Ghana. Like, I don't know. Nothing makes sense.
So the only thing I can say is oh man, how high do I want to put it? I'm confident. I won't put a percentage on it. I'm confident that this guy is real because one of my friends, when I used to do a podcast covering the English Premier League and covering lower levels of English soccer, one of my friends knows players on his old team, Tamari's old team, and that knows that, okay, yeah, this guy's legit. So I trust my friend that this guy's really legit. But I just think 100% he picked a random team. The Philadelphia Union fans got baited, and now he's going to run with it until the Philadelphia Union fans stop giving him attention. And then I guarantee you, 6 months from now, he'll pick another team, and he's right back at it, and the same thing's going to keep happening. I mean...
I think he should come to Philly for a game.
Might love it, right?
Yeah, like because like we're an unhinged fan base, but like I think we can take a joke. I think we could take a joke. So like I think that would be a good thing. Like we bring him out.
So let's say the Philadelphia Union didn't sign Julian Carranza on loan. If the Philadelphia Union didn't sign Mikael Uhre on loan, if this was the only player the Philadelphia Union were signing was being linked with this player from Ghana supposedly.
Oh, we'd be incredibly upset right now.
We would not be laughing. We wouldn't be like, no. They could not take a joke if this was the first player we were being linked with and we would potentially sign. But since we already have players in here, yeah, I think you're right. The fan base can take a joke, but oh man, like this is crazy.
This was one of the funniest things because when I saw that, like, that was great. I'm going to petition this guy to come because, like, yeah, we're in a position where we can take jokes. We signed some players and we had success last season, so we're ready to build off of that. If this was last season, I think the city, like, we would be burning things to the ground.
Oh, we would.
And every player in Ghana would be like highlighted on like the brotherly game. It would be great.
Yes, yes, they would, and people would be like, "Oh, I've seen this guy play before." Oh man, this would be.
He picked the wrong fan base and the right fan base because like we searched too thoroughly. If this was like Red Bulls, no one would even notice.
This is very true, but let's go ahead and talk about some moves that we know are legit that have happened for the Philadelphia Union. And starting with Ray Gaddis signing for FC Cincinnati on a 2-year deal with an option for the 2024 season. And so I want to go ahead before I get your thoughts on Ray Gaddis and do you blame him for retiring and all that? This is what Jim Curtin had to say about facing Ray Gaddis today.
He's a great player, a great friend. Did it look a little strange seeing him in orange? Absolutely. It looked weird to me. But at the same time, it's nothing but respect and appreciation for where he's at in his career. And he still does a great job out there. Taking a year off isn't easy, but he'll come in and be a lockdown defender and provide in that locker room a lot of good leadership and help the culture there as well. He's great off the field as well as on. But yeah, a great friendship. And again, for those that don't know, we were never going to get in the way and block, Ray going back to Cincinnati and be selfish that way. That's not what our club's about. Other clubs do things like that, but we pride ourselves in treating players the right way and helping them in their situation. He won a ton of games here in the Union. He wears a different shirt now. So, we still have love for Ray Gaddis, but when the 90 minutes blow in the real season, we want to win.
So right off the bat, I'm happy Jim Curtin came out and said that for fans that were angry at angry at Ray Gaddis. They were calling Ray a traitor and just totally upset with Ray Gaddis. And Jim Curtin said, no, we were never going to stop Ray Gaddis from going to Cincinnati. And that tells me because when Ray Gaddis retired, he still had a year left on his Philadelphia Union contract. So that means that the Philadelphia Union had the rights to his contract. And so when an offer came from Cincinnati, they said they would take him. The Philadelphia Union allowed Ray Gaddis to go ahead and accept that. And we heard that Ray Gaddis retired because of family issues, health issues from his mother, I believe it was. Took a year off, and then Cincinnati approached him, and now he's playing for Cincinnati on a 2-year deal with an option for the 2024 season. And like I just said, you heard Jim Curtin's thoughts, had no hatred towards Ray Gaddis going to sign for Cincinnati, but I think at the beginning, a lot of the fan base did. So what are your thoughts on just Ray Gaddis signing for Cincinnati?
I mean, congratulations to Ray. He had no shot at starting here this season coming up. Like, if he was like, I'm coming out of retirement, I want to come back to Philly, he would have been a bench role player, barely getting minutes because we don't always pull our defenders for another defender. So good for him. And I think he'll be fighting for minutes. He might not start. He's a great locker room guy, so he's going to build their culture. One of the nicest people I've ever met. Like, Ray Gaddis is a stand-up human being. The fan base loves him. He's been nothing but the best possible person we could have for this team. Like, he always made us look good whenever he was interviewed, just like a really nice guy. So when he retired, that sucked, and it was understandable. And now that he's playing for Cincinnati, I'm happy for him. Also, he's not a threat to us. We're past that. Like, Ray Gaddis, when we play against Ray, he has never scored a goal. He has over 100 caps.
Yeah, I agree, right? Ray Gaddis doesn't offer you anything going forward, but defensively, he's solid. But here's the thing, right? Ray Gaddis Ray Gaddis alone is not going to save the back line of FC Cincinnati. So, like, when we play Cincinnati, I don't think Ray Gaddis is going to automatically by himself shut down our attack when we play them. I mean, we saw us score a goal today against them.
Stop.
Yeah, exactly. So, and actually, now I'm thinking about it, so the cross...
Does he even start?
Yeah, he started today. He was the captain.
I know, but like in the regular season, he might not even start for them. Like,
they have Alvis Powell and then Zico Barely, who's like 18 or 19, I think. He's a young right back who's really not a right back. I think he starts. I think he'll split time with Alvis Powell. I mean, I want to be confident if those are my two right backs going into the season, Elvis Powell and Ray Gaddis. But I guess it's
not at all. That is great backups. Like, I loved Travis Powell off the bench for us last year. That was great, but like he's not starting material. Kai Wagner is.
Yeah, so I guess if I was a Cincinnati fan, I think I would be happy because both of those players are good defensively and would have they struggle with defense. But being a Philadelphia Union fan, if you told me, oh, we're signing Ray Gaddis or Elvis Powell to be our starting right back, yeah, I'd be a little bit concerned. I'd be like, can't you guys upgrade better than this? So yeah, for Cincinnati fans, they should be happy. But Philadelphia Union fans, like you said, we're past that. Like Elvis Powell was going to start one way or another last season.
Really happy for Ray though. That's all. Really happy for him because if what I don't know what I know that he retired. There was personal issues going on, so I feel like that in that premature retirement kind of sucks for someone that was so beloved amongst the fan base. So yeah, he gets to go out, he gets to make money and play and
still be close to his family in
yeah.
Indianapolis.
Exactly. He's close to his family. Win-win situation. I hope we get a little testimonial match when he does decide to really retire. Or it could be like us versus Cincinnati. I love Rick. For a guy that never scored, wasn't good going forward, but just a solid defender, he worked so hard for us. So
he'll always be a
I'm
Philadelphia
happy.
Union player.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's a hero. A hero of the club. I wouldn't I don't know if he gets the Ring of Honor, but he's kind of in that conversation.
But Kacper Przybylko officially traded, we known, for a couple weeks to the Chicago Fire for $1.1 million in GAM, which is set to be paid to the Philadelphia Union over 2 years. Right move by the Philadelphia Union. Blame Kacper for asking the Philadelphia Union to accept the offer. Your thoughts on that?
Man, we got so much money for him. I didn't think we would get that much. When I saw that number, I was like, holy Lord, we just broke $1 million for Kacper. This is great business. As a fan, you're losing the second best statistical best goal scorer we've ever had, but a guy who is slow, doesn't jump, and aging. And so I wouldn't have been upset if he was on the team, but we needed to upgrade from that. We went out, we upgraded from that. He's not good off the bench because he's not that fast. He doesn't have a lot. I don't know. I don't see him as coming off of the bench. So, and it looks like we brought in two guys that are worthy to start. So, I don't know. This is just the perfect lineup scenario. I'm ecstatic because also I have no ill will towards Kacper, and he wanted to play longer with guaranteed money, and he got that. So good for him.
Absolutely. And look, here's the thing, right? Chicago, they struggled to score goals. I mean, they got rid of the only player that scored goals for them, Robert Barrich, and they bring in Kacper Przybylko, who's scored 35 goals in his 3 seasons with the Philadelphia Union, who has been the leading goal scorer he's been the leading goal scorer for the Philadelphia Union the last 3 years, where you guys have seen what the Philadelphia Union have done ever since Kacper has been here. And $1.1 million is a ton of money for a player that we got on a free. The only thing I don't like about this move is that it's set to be paid over 2 years. I wish we would have got the money all up front. But I mean, to get something out of a player that we paid nothing for, I mean, it's a win for the Philadelphia Union. And plus, the Philadelphia Union get that contract off the books. I think he was making a little bit over $900,000, which isn't a ton of money, right, for a lot of teams, but for the Philadelphia Union, it is.
It's a lot of money for a guy that's not hitting he never hit. He might have hit the 15 goal mark once.
Yeah, his first season.
I don't know, first season. So it just, I don't know. When I look at us, we win games, we go far in playoffs, we win the Supporters Shield. Forever grateful for Kacper for his contributions and his big goals, but also we need to improve. And when you look at his position and the top of the league, they're not close. He's putting in work that some teams have their second striker do. So I feel bad that he's on Chicago because I don't think he's going to have the same output here in Chicago as he did here. I don't know. Like that, Chicago's not good. They're fire, like a trash heap, man. Like Chicago Fire, they're terrible.
Yeah, they got a new coach. I think the biggest thing right now they need a creative number 10 because Kacper is not going to create chances on his own. And
they got Fabian Herbers.
Yeah, right. Oh God. Hey, two ex-Union players, and they never met.
Yeah.
Actually, would Kacper maybe would have met Fabian Herbers in 2018 when Kacper was signed here? Because Fabian was still here in 2018, but Kacper was signed to Bethlehem Steel and not the Union when he signed in 2018. So I'm not sure if they would have met each other. I mean, I'm sure they're talking now, but look. I would have been okay keeping Kacper. I wish we would have kept Kacper, Julian Carranza, Sergio Santos, and then let's pretend we still would have signed Mikael Uhre. I would have been happy with those four guys let go of Corey Burke, but you're not going to get any money you're not going to get money close enough like you got for Kacper. I mean,
this is Burke's redemption year to gain value.
Yeah, it's his last year of his contract too.
Yeah. Contract player, you put him in, he gets some few goals off of the bench, maybe we can flip him, or he just rides off into the sunset.
Yeah, my biggest issue with Corey Burke is he's an international player. Like, we know how valuable international roster spots are, and he's been here since what, 2018, 2017. I want to say, I think 2018 he got here, and he still can't get a green card. It's a little bit of an issue for me.
Yeah, there's a lot of problems going on here, and I don't know. I love Corey Burke, but also like we need to improve from that. But also, it looks like he's the bottom of the barrel. I feel bad for Kacper. I mean, he's Polish, so he'll be able to handle, I feel like, the climate of Chicago. But like,
yeah, I have a big following.
Exactly. That midfield's terrible, and he relies on service. There are going to be some frustrated. I don't know. Does Chicago still have fans? When was the last time they were good? Like, their stadium always looks empty and depressing.
Yeah, leaving to go to Soldier Field. Oh man, I don't think that was a great look.
Such a what was it, Toyota Park to Soldier Field, or
exactly, leave a soccer specific stadium to go to a football stadium. I mean, they wanted to be in the city, but they're not going to sell out Soldier Field at all. They don't get close at all, and when the team's been as bad as they are, like they're lucky if they get like 8,000 fans there. So, I mean, thank goodness we're not Cincinnati fans or Chicago Fire fans. But before we wrap up the podcast, I have a couple more topics I want to get to. So let's go ahead and talk about Philadelphia Union signing Mikael Uhre from Brøndby for a 3-year designated player contract with an option for a 4th-year deal in exchange for $2.8 million. There's reports out there that Uhre will make $1.5 million. And so the first clip I want to play is why Mikael decided to sign for the Philadelphia Union.
Oh, there's a lot of things. First of all, once I got the information about the interest from MLS and Philadelphia, was to call my friend Hani Mukhtar. I think you know him. And he said that the league was really developing and a really good fit for me as a football player. Sorry, I'm not used to saying soccer yet. Maybe it will come. But that really helped me because I thought it was a great challenge and a league really developing a lot and with really good players. So for me, it was mostly the step in my own career because I really think that I can take some good steps here in MLS.
Yeah, and you love to hear it. I mean, the Philadelphia Union beat out interest from multiple teams in Europe. They beat out a team in Saudi Arabia, and they beat a team in China for his signature. And a player that's in the prime of his career to say, hey, look, I want to go to MLS. I want to experience MLS. I saw what Hani Mukhtar did, and yeah, I'm not really basing my decision off of what Hani did, but at least I know I had a player that was on my team here in Denmark go to MLS, and he said that this league is going to be good for me, and now I want to test myself. And yeah, just to hear him say, I wanted to come to MLS, not that, okay, well, they're offering me the highest money out of all these other teams, so I'm signing because of money. No, him saying, I want to sign for the Philadelphia Union. That in itself gets me excited for this signing.
Yeah, nothing gets better than a player wanting to come here. I mean, I remember watching this league since I've been in like grade school. Been watching this league since early 2000s, and to see us get to the point where players are like, I want to come here. And like, you started noticing this trend about like 4 or 5 years ago. But like now we're starting to get players that want to come to the Philadelphia Union. And this is massive. And like, this isn't like when we signed like Valko Bonovic, who was retired for 2 years and came here and was like, oh yeah, this is great. Like, I love Philadelphia. I had a blast here. This is like a young kid who's like beating like off of teams that are in Europe and could pay him probably more than what we're doing. And, on paper, like would make more sense to go to. And he's like, I'm going to come and test myself here. And I'm super excited about this. Thanks to Mukhtar. Like, when did this phone call take place? Because I feel like we really abused him in the playoffs.
We did.
Did this phone call happen after that? After was he like? Does he? Because like we were mean to him, and he didn't have the greatest game against us in the playoffs, and we let him know that.
No, Hani brought that on himself. He scored the goal. He'd celebrated in the river end, all of our faces, and then he missed the penalty kick. So we let him have that
penalty. Yeah, no, and he deserved it. And I'm glad that he still was like, you know what, MLS is great, but Philadelphia's trash. You don't want to go.
Yeah. No, and to Hani Mukhtar's credit, after the game, he applauded us. He's like, okay, yeah, I got one on you guys, but at the end of the whistle, you had the final say. So fair play to you guys. And I appreciate that when a player's like, okay, just having fun and celebrating in your faces. But at the end of the day, you can come over to us and say, yeah, it's all good, and support us and everything, and not hold a grudge. So the next clip I want to play is Mikael Uhre explaining what kind of player he is.
As some of you will get to know me, and I think Jim and Ernst really got to know me and said I'm a humble guy, and even though I had a lot of success, I still tend to focus too much on the small details of how I can improve even more. That's the guy I am, and I can go out of a game having scored 2 and only think about the third I missed. So trying to keep my feet on the ground and keep working, because I believe that no matter how can you say, good, experienced and old you'll be, you can always improve. And that's really been my motto all the way.
Okay, so if you guys didn't like this guy after the first clip, that second clip said, even if he scores 2 goals in a game and he misses a third, he's going to be mad at himself. Like, he wants to improve. He wants to get better. And this is the exact kind of players that the Philadelphia Union need to be signing. A player that's 27 years old, who was leading the Golden Boot race this season in Denmark. He won the Golden Boot last season. And this guy is sitting on the bench saying, yeah, I scored 2 goals, but I'm mad with myself because I could have had a hat trick and I messed up. So how can I get better as a player? Like, it doesn't get better than that.
He's a winner who wants to score goals. I mean, like, I think that's a mentality of a Union player. Like, we pick these like really hardworking players. We just get the ones that they miss 4 opportunities and they're mad that they didn't score any, or like they might score 1 goal and miss 3. So hopefully we start to see that gap close. But like, this guy looks fast from all the things. He looks like he has a good touch, a nose for goal. We've been begging for a signing like this for so long, and we've got it. No matter what happens, we need to continue. This is the way. Buy nice players, develop good young talent, and then and have this like happy mesh. I'm ecstatic. Like, when he signed, and they like just hearing this press conference, like I was like doing backflips. Man, this was great.
It is. I mean, we've been calling for a DP striker, and yeah, we paid $2.8 million, but because he was coming down to the last year of his contract, he could have left last season, the following season on a free transfer, and Brøndby didn't want to lose him on a free, so they accepted the Philadelphia Union's offer of $2.8 million. And if he had a longer contract, he would have went for a lot more money in Europe, in my opinion, but he wanted to come to MLS. You guys heard that on the first clip. He wanted to come and test himself in the MLS. He wants to play for the Philadelphia Union. And in this last clip I'm going to play is he was asked Is there any pressure on you to replace Kacper Przybylko?
I don't think so. Of course, I saw I think he scored 12 goals that year. I think that's correct. But yeah, it's always funny to be compared to other guys, and I like that. And I don't really. I'm getting of an age now where pressure is not as big in my head. Of course, it could be in the surroundings, but I don't really take it in that much, and I try to focus on myself, and I don't compare myself to anyone else, because at the end of the day, the only thing you can do is compare yourself to yourself, and the only thing you can improve is yourself, and you can't, see what the other guy did before, or what the next guy is going to do. So my focus is just on me and myself, and that's how it's been all along. So. Yeah, of course, there's going to be some pressure, but I like pressure. I love pressure. There's a lot of pressure in Brøndby as well, and I love playing here. So it just makes me want to be even better.
He hasn't even kicked a ball yet for the Philadelphia Union, and he's already the greatest player in Philadelphia Union history in those 3 answers that he gave in those 3 clips. I mean, I think we hit a home run with this signing, and he hasn't even scored a goal yet. Hasn't even stepped foot on the field for the Philadelphia Union. Like, how don't you love this guy already?
I love him. I'm ecstatic. This is a guy that wants to be here. He wants to score goals. He doesn't want to be compared to Kacper. I like that because I feel like he's going to set his bar higher than Kacper's ceiling. My realistic expectation for him is 13 goals this year. But I think he close to doubles that next year. I think he hits like the 13 to 15 mark this year. Just given that it's tough making this transaction like to the U.S. There's a lot of travel. The MLS is a very physical league. There's a lot of games. There's a lot of the scheduling is all different. So I think that some of those will play. I think his quality will show. And then I think next season, because you see this trend with a lot of European players, year 2 is always massive compared to year 1. Like, quality will show. I think that he gets here, he works hard, and then year 2 he's scoring like 20 to 25. But also, I think he outscores Kacper, which is he's going to score more than he did last year. He's going to score more than Kacper's going to score this year, and
then fans will be happy and say, "Hey, look, they made the right decision to sell Kacper." But, man, look, honestly, I did not expect us to talk about the whole Timari situation until I saw, it was on social media. I'm like, man, I got to talk about this situation to get people to stop talking about this on social media. So hopefully people listen to this podcast. But you asked me 2 topics, and we're going to go ahead and end with those 2 topics. I had so much more to get to, but I always just run over it with guests. But, when you talk about the Philadelphia Union, it's like, man, there's so much I want to say, and I'm glad I have people – good, intelligent guests like yourself, Pat, that, have a lot to say, and you guys just all enjoy talking about the Philadelphia Union. So if I don't say it again, thank you so much, Pat, for coming on, but I'm sure I'll say it again. So you asked me, do the Philadelphia Union capitalize on last season's success and gain more fans? And so if you guys aren't aware who Jarrett Knisley is, near the end of last season, I want to say it was, he started a thing on Twitter called Ticket Watch, where he was keeping track of all the tickets the Philadelphia Union had sold. No, Jarrett doesn't work for the Philadelphia Union. He was just going on the Philadelphia Union's website and looking at all the tickets that were sold and everything, and giving an update on Twitter on all the tickets that were sold. And so I think a couple weeks ago, he had a tweet that said most of the stadium was sold out for the game against Minnesota. But then a lot of those tickets reappeared. And I saw that there was talks on social media where apparently there was a ticket scalper buying a whole bunch of tickets. And then the team, I think, got aware of that and got the tickets back and everything. Now a whole bunch of tickets out for sale again through the team, not by a ticket scalper. But no, I think the Philadelphia Union absolutely do capitalize on last season's success. I mean, you saw each of the playoff games. The first game against New York Red Bulls, that stadium was loud, and we're like, this is the loudest it's ever been. Maybe it never gets louder than this. And then you see the game against Nashville, and then we get into penalties. It gets even louder than during the game against Nashville. and we win the penalty shootout. And then we get into the final, Eastern Conference final against New York City, where more than half of our team's missing because of stupid COVID protocols. And that game was louder than it's ever been. The success the Philadelphia Union had in the playoffs last season, I think because the Philadelphia Union were able to keep the core of this team together still, a lot of these guys have been playing with each other for 4 years. I mean, how many times can you say, oh, X team had all these players together for 4 years? Look at the team that won MLS Cup in Atlanta. Most of that team's gone. I mean, Brad Guzan's there, Joseph Martinez is there, and maybe there's one or two other pieces still there, but most of that team's gone, and they won MLS Cup. But the Philadelphia Union, they won the Supporters Shield, kept the team together, reached the Eastern Conference Finals last season, kept the team together. Like, the Philadelphia Union could have sold so many players. Kai Wagner was linked with moves away. Jose Martinez was linked away with, I believe, a couple teams in Russia. He stayed with the team. We saw Jamir Montero during the season linked with teams away. He's still with the team currently. And it's like, you don't see that a lot in MLS. A team that's as talented as the Philadelphia Union, keeping hold of their core players. And I think that, I think the Philadelphia Union do it the best out of all the major market teams in Philadelphia, where you actually feel like you're a part of the team. Where do you really feel like you're a part of the Philadelphia Eagles? Do you feel like the players on the Philadelphia 76ers care about you? Do you feel like the Phillies players care about you? Probably not, but you can say that about the Philadelphia Union, in my opinion. You see, after the game, the players go around the whole stadium applauding. They're taking pictures. They're signing autographs. Do you get that from the other 4 teams? No. And I think because of that, that draws people into the Philadelphia Union. And then you have the Philadelphia Union, the only team that's successful right now, it feels like, in Philadelphia. What do people like in sports? They like successful teams. So that's going to draw people into the Philadelphia Union. And then you add on top, their ticket prices compared to all the other 4 teams. It's so much cheaper to go to a Philadelphia Union game to get a good seat. There's not a bad seat in the house at all. The only thing I think that hurts the Philadelphia Union is that these games are like, we're starting the season February 26th. I would love for that game to be sold out, but I'm not really sure because, that game could be like 20 degrees and fans aren't going to come out because it's that cold. But maybe I'm wrong because of the success that the Philadelphia Union have had the last couple seasons. To see them go as far as they've ever went in the playoffs last season, to see them go to the semifinals against Club America, to fight Club America so hard at home. Teams love winners. People love teams that fight. People love that Philly grit attitude, and that's exactly what the Philadelphia Union have. I don't know if you want to answer your own question or if you want to go to the second question you asked me, but it's up to you.
Yeah, let's. I have a lot of thoughts on that, but we'll go into the second question. I just want to say the playoff run was special, a magical time, and I think that we started to see the fan base grow before our eyes, and more people that were just casual sports fans in Philadelphia, like the Eagles, Flyers, Sixers crowd, started catching on, and that's what makes, the home opener has got to be a big deal, and they got to do all the tricks to get people out, and if they're not out, at least watching on TV, because it's probably going to be freezing cold, probably going to be snowing.
How do you convince fans to come out in that? I mean, I was surprised last night that it seemed like the stadium was sold out in Minnesota for the U.S. game against Honduras, which we didn't even talk about that, and I'm sure we could have spent a whole podcast just talking about that game alone.
There's going to be plenty of people talking about that.
Yeah, there is. So the last question you asked me, you said, what are your expectations for the 2022 season for the Union? So I'm not going to answer this fully because, like I do every season, I dedicate a whole episode to that, but I will answer that a little bit for you, Pat. And I have 3 bullet points. 1, I think this team must be in the top 3 in all of MLS by the summertime, not just the Eastern Conference, but they need to be in the top 3 for the Supporters Shield standings. Number 2, I think this team needs to reach the semifinals for the U.S. Open Cup. Yes, the U.S. Open Cup is back this season. We know the Philadelphia Union like to play the young, youthful talent in the Open Cup, and they've had a lot of success in the Open Cup throughout their history, and I don't see why they couldn't be successful this season in 2022. And number 3, I mean, we talked about it. $2.8 million for Mikael Uhre. the most money the Philadelphia Union have ever spent on one player. When you're spending that much player on a striker who has been the leading goal scorer the last 2 years in Denmark, you're getting a quality player. And if you're paying that much money, you're getting that type of player, you gotta win MLS Cup, in my opinion. It's MLS Cup or bust. Will they do it? I don't know, but I think this team on paper is good enough to win MLS Cup. I'll let you answer that question, though. What are your expectations?
I mean, the same. We need to top 2 in the East and, top 3 in the Supporters Shield. That's how I'm looking at this. And I want it all. I want Supporters Shield. I want the Cup. But realistically, if we get to the finals, I'll be happy with that. If we can somehow host the final, like if we're talking like just like on the back heels of growth and the fans, just hosting the final in Philadelphia would change this club forever. Because this would be the craziest crowd, and I think you would see a lot of people just fall in love with the team and the sport, especially in a World Cup year where you're going to have the World Cup and MLS Cup very close to each other because it's a Winter World Cup. Like, this is the year where the Union can go all in and forever change, like pay dividends for the next 30 years. If you have a great season this year, if you win one cup, if you win the Open Cup, if you win MLS Cup, you get, lifelong fans, and that's going to change because, every you see a massive boost around the World Cup. It captivates everyone in the country. And I think that you could see, and then there's going to be an Aronson tie because he's a Philadelphia Union player, was a Philadelphia Union player, and he's going to be in Qatar, hopefully. And the Union have to be thinking about this. I think like if it comes in the summer transfer window, they got to spend. If they think that they're like one player away or we have an injury, you got to go out, you got to spend because the result is going to be paid forever. Because you're going to start getting lifelong fans, more season ticket holders, more people into the sport. Because that's what winning does, like you said.
Absolutely. And
look, I think they understand it, and I understand it.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, I think the Philadelphia Union, by the time the summertime comes around, regardless if the Philadelphia Union are, in first place or not, I think they're going to lose Kai Wagner. They could potentially lose Jose Martinez. You're not going to keep the core around. They're lucky that they kept their core around going into the season. So if the core can get the team into, like I said, by a top 3 spot in all of MLS by the summertime, I think that's a success in itself right there. But if the Philadelphia Union somehow keeps the whole team together for the whole season, I will be very, very shocked. And I think if they do keep the team together, they need to win MLS Cup because, like you said, they're not going to have any more opportunities other than this moment right here to take advantage of it because on paper, this looks like it's the best team the Philadelphia Union have ever had. And I can't wait till February 26th. I'm really upset that I couldn't watch the preseason game. And because it's only a preseason game, like I shouldn't be upset, but it's like there's so much buzz around this team and I just want to watch them. But Pat, it's been a blast having you on this podcast again. And I say it all the time, like, I never expect these episodes to go this long, but they always do. But if people aren't following you on social media, Pat, where can people find you?
Put it in the description. It's like Pat in the Hat. There's some underscores in there. There's it's Instagram and it's Twitter for all the dumb Philadelphia Union and 76ers tweets.
Yeah, and if you guys say something that's so unbelievable, Pat might just copy and paste what you said and get random fans to be in your DMs. So if that's what you're into,
I might become a Perth Glory fan. Who knows? I'm pulling for him. I've said I got. There's one other person I have to apologize to because I didn't mean for people to actually take that serious. And I just wanted to make the point that I don't trust this Tamar. What I forget his name. Tamar guy.
Tamar Palmer. Yeah. I don't either.
Although I do think I think he's hilarious, and I want him to. He can come to the parade. He can come to the Open Cup final, whatever game he wants to come to.
Find him a way, and we'll get him here. But if you guys aren't following the podcast on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, follow @FreeKickPod wherever you get your podcast. The Free Kick, and make sure you guys tune in next episode where I have 2 guests yet again one returning guest and one brand new guest. So that episode will be a lot of fun, and I'll make sure the points that I did not get to with Pat, we bring up next episode. But again, Pat, thank you so much for coming onto the podcast. Always a blast to talk to you, and we got to catch up at a game sometime this season.
Yeah, definitely. The view from the Founders deck is wonderful. We'll hang out there sometime.
And with that said, my name is Todd, and this is the Free Kick Podcast.